All right, let's get right into it. We're about to break down the absolutely wild, true story of a single phone call that sent the world's most powerful intelligence agency into a complete and utter meltdown. The person on the other end of the line? A teenager. The target? The director of the CIA himself. I know, it sounds like something straight out of a Hollywood movie, but I promise you, this really happened.
So just try to put yourself in his shoes for a second. You're John Brennan, the head of the CIA. Your personal phone rings, and this voice, a kid's voice, calmly tells you he's just taken over your entire digital life. I mean, for anyone else, you just hang up, right? A prank call. But for the director of the CIA, just the fact that this kid got his number was a massive security failure. And that's the big question here, isn't it? How on earth did this happen? Who were these kids? And what would possibly motivate them to take on a global superpower? From their bedrooms? Let's unravel this incredible story.
So the call itself comes in October 2015. It's from a teenager in England who calls himself Kraka. And get this, his demand isn't for money. It's political. He tells the director he wants the US to stop its military operations in Palestine. Now, by this point, the CIA already knew it had a huge problem. Their systems had been breached.
To really get why this was such a monumental deal, you gotta understand the culture of secrecy at the CIA. We're talking next-level paranoia. It's so intense that the Starbucks inside their headquarters in Langley uses plain white cups. They don't write names on them, all to stop a discarded coffee cup from accidentally revealing an agent's identity. So for their director to be publicly hacked, oh, this was an absolute nightmare for them, a total utter embarrassment. So the investigation kicks into high gear, and the authorities realize pretty quickly they're not dealing with some rival government agency. Nope. This was the work of two kids living thousands of miles apart who had somehow managed to team up. On one side of the Atlantic, we've got Default, a kid in Virginia, basically in the CIA's own backyard. He got his start making cheats for video games and was kind of driven by this weird mix of anarchist mischief and a passion for animal rights. Then, all the way over in England, there was Kraka, a pro-Palestine activist who became the public voice of the whole operation. Two very different kids, different motivations, who were about to become America's most wanted teenagers. Default's journey here is pretty fascinating. He starts out small back in 2008, just messing with video games like Counter-Strike to win. But then he gets inspired by the big hacktivist group Anonymous and decides to aim higher. He joins a crew called AnonSAC, and his hacks start getting way more serious. First, he wipes $9 million in student records from a college server. Then he hacks the Danish government's website to protest an animal cruelty law. You can see him leveling up, right? The stakes just kept getting higher and higher. So before 2013, Default and Kraka didn't even know each other existed. But then, one single event happened that lit a fire under the entire global hacking community and put these two on a direct collision course with the CIA. And of course, we're talking about the Edward Snowden leak. When Snowden revealed that US intelligence agencies were secretly vacuuming up massive amounts of private data on their own citizens, on people all over the world, it caused this huge global firestorm. For people like Default and Kraka, this was it. This was the ultimate betrayal of privacy. The Snowden leak basically became their shared mission. They decided they were going to teach the American government a lesson by giving the CIA a taste of its own medicine. The plan? Expose the agency's most private information for the entire world to see. This was digital payback. Now, this is the part that might just blow your mind. You'd assume that hacking the director of the CIA will require some of the most sophisticated, complex code ever written, right? Well, you'd be wrong. The key to this entire operation wasn't about breaking through digital firewalls. It was about exploiting the single weakest link in any security system: human beings. Okay, check out this playbook. It is brilliant in its simplicity. Step 1, Kraka literally just finds CIA Director John Brennan's publicly listed Verizon phone number. Easy enough. Step 2, he calls Verizon's tech support, but here's the trick. He pretends to be a Verizon employee who's having a technical issue. When they ask for a PIN to prove who he is, he gives them one he'd already gotten his hands on. And just like that, the support team handed over Brennan's account number, his backup phone, even the last 4 digits of his bank card. With that information, he just went to Brennan's email provider, clicked Forgot Password, and boom, he was in. Game over. And what did they find in there? An absolute treasure trove.
The personal email account of the director of the CIA had top secret documents, the social security numbers and personal info of other high-ranking intelligence officers, sensitive government communications, the whole shebang. By the time Brennan even realized what was happening and shut the account down, it was way too late. Kraken had already downloaded everything.
So at this point, these guys are on top of the world. They've humiliated the most powerful intelligence agency on the planet and are leaking its secrets online, just causing chaos all over Washington. They thought they were ghosts, completely untouchable. But it all came crashing down because of one very simple, very human mistake.
And you have to understand, the pressure on the authorities was immense. After the CIA hack, Kraken just kept going. He dumped the personal information of 9,000 employees of the Department of Justice right onto the internet. And he wasn't done. Next, he leaked the personal details of 20,000 FBI agents. The entire U.S. intelligence community was in a full-blown panic. Finding these hackers became their absolute top priority. Period.
So here it is, the fatal error, the thing that brought the whole operation down. Default, the American hacker, gets drunk one night and boasts to a friend that he was one of the masterminds behind the CIA hack. That one moment of drunken ego was all it took. The friend talked, word got back to the FBI, and within days they were raiding Default's room.
Once Default was in custody, well, he gave up Kraken. The whole thing was over. And that brings us to the final chapter of this wild story, where we find out the real names of these teenage hackers and the ironic twist their lives took after they were finally caught. So Kraken, whose real name is Kane Gamble, got a 2-year sentence, mostly because of his age. Default, Justin Liverman, got 5 years in prison. But here's the real kicker. Today, after serving their time, they're both free. And in the ultimate twist, they're both now pursuing careers in cybersecurity, using the very same skills that made them infamous to now prevent the kinds of attacks they perfected. You just can't make this stuff.
So that leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? What were they? Teenage criminals just causing chaos for the thrill of it? Or were they digital activists using extreme methods to fight for our privacy? The answer, just like the story itself, is complicated.